Orthodox have very long memories, and history is quite important to us. And oftentimes, the events that we remember can be rather sobering and sometimes even sad in character. Of course, we remember so many martyrdoms, which are necessarily kind of sad. We also feel a kinship to those groups that have suffered, at least in part, or perhaps mostly because of their faith. Just a couple of weeks ago, of course, on April 24th, marked the commemoration of Red Sunday, which was the beginning of the Armenian genocide. And for many Orthodox, even people who aren't Armenian, that's something that feels very real to us. And we feel a kinship to our fellow Orthodox brothers and sisters who suffered and many of whom died for their faith. And so this historical memory can be something that's sometimes rather dark and heavy. But I want to remind you that we must remember the good things as well, and we must look out for the good things, because that's a critical part of our story. We are a people of the resurrection, and though we endure crucifixion, and though our forefathers have even undergone martyrdom, there's always beauty and grace and mercy at work in the world. And I heard a story that illustrates this beautifully. A GoFundMe page had been set up for the Navajo Nation. GoFundMe, of course, is a website and a service that allows people to donate money online that is then electronically deposited to people, and it's a great way for grassroots, large-scale charitable giving to be done. And the Navajo Nation has suffered in particular with a number of outbreaks of the coronavirus, of the COVID 19 virus. Other Native American groups have suffered as well. And the suffering caught the attention of some people in Ireland. Now, the Irish are no stranger to suffering. And many people in Ireland knew from their own history that in the late 1840s, during the Irish potato famine, they received a gift from a number of Native Americans, some members of the Choctaw tribe, themselves victims on the Trail of Tears, themselves knowing what famine and hardship felt like, were pained to hear that people were suffering from famine. And so after having been kicked off their homelands, and in many cases in a state of transition themselves, and what we now would call the Trail of Tears, they nonetheless cobbled together whatever meager resources they had, and they sent over about $170 in 1840s money, which is about $5,000 in today's money, and they sent that over to the people of Ireland. Thankfully, the people of Ireland had not forgotten that kindness. They had remembered that great mercy. And so it brings me joy, and I hope it brings you some joy to know that as of the writing of earlier today, an article just published about a half day ago, so it may be even more, $1.3 million has been posted to the Navajo website, the Navajo GoFundMe page, just from people from Ireland. $1.3 million from Irish who wanted to pay it forward, who wanted to return a kindness because they remembered the good that some people had done for their ancestors. And so history and memory always should document and point out the good that exists in this life, and we ought to be aware of it and share it with one another. It's beautiful, it's important, and hopefully this nice gift from some of the people from the Republic of Ireland will benefit some of the people of the Navajo Nation and some of the other First Peoples here in the United States, or Native Americans, who are suffering greatly. One good turn deserves another, and grace is a beautiful thing. Christ is risen.